on because so much is going on today. Oh, this is landscape. I don't know if I like landscape. I'm just gonna do it this way. Alright. Got all this melanin, so when you have melanin, you need sunlight to hit it so you can see my face. Hope it's not too bright. Now, so let's talk about what is going on right now and real estate, Bitcoin, and gold. All of that is making a difference right now, and I just want to do a quick update on what's going on. So first, I want to talk about what's going on in the real estate market, what trends we are seeing, and how that's affecting everything. And then we're going to go to Bitcoin and gold. Just remember, I told you guys months ago, it's okay to take a significant portion of your either retirement or your portfolio and put it in Bitcoin and gold. And now it is obvious how much dividends that pays, so it's not too late. So just know that. So as far as you know what, I'm gonna have to turn this down, so you're just gonna have to see a shadow right there because that's a little too bright. So as far as real estate is concerned, these are the current trends that we're seeing. As you know, I'm a real estate investor. I'm also a coach, and every day, every week, we see this. If it sounds okay, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if it is fine. If you see me, if I'm not dropping. I just don't want to talk to myself for 30 minutes. Okay. Is it going in and out? Let me know. Rotate device. I don't want to rotate device. Force me to rotate device. Okay. Wait. Okay, let me hide these comments. Okay. We're gonna do it like this. Okay. So, what's going on in real estate? Two trends you need to be aware of. One, of course, the foreclosure crisis, but two, on the other hand, there is an investor crisis, and both are setting up a lot of opportunities, but also we are finding that it's actually hard to get inside. So let's go on to the problem of 40 million people weren't able to make their payment, weren't able to make rents. When I talk informally to my group of investors, pretty much 75% of their portfolio is pretty decent and paying on time. There's definitely that 1 in 4 tenant who's always been a problem who has decided not to pay. So everyone's biding their time with some 30K group. Remember, these groups are very, very, our properties that we target are in low income areas, so they don't cost that much. So our carrying costs are like $200, $300, $400 if you don't own outright like I do. Because after 5 or 6 years, you can pay them off pretty easy when a house costs $30,000. So a lot of them are seeing that outside of the problem tenants, everything's pretty good. And that's 75% of their portfolio, which is actually really good for anyone. Now, but in addition to that, we also have 40 million people who are looking at eviction. And that's actually very interesting because we're finding for some of my clients, depending on the location, if it is a tenant-occupied house, we can't get into some of the listed houses because the tenants, knowing that they're going up for eviction and the moratorium, are not letting people in. So in some of the places, we've had to just halt because the tenant's not paying rent and these investors are trying to sell their homes, and that goes into the investor crisis. But you just need to understand, we're going to see homelessness, we're going to see poverty, we're going to see long bread lines. This is exactly what was happening in 2008, and this is 10 times worse, right? And so you got to be prepared for that eventuality. There's going to be people with eviction on their credit. That's going to definitely cause a downward pressure in prices for all investors because your pool is going to go smaller. And even the people who are at the top, with the cost of inflation, the cost of living increasing, they're going to be squeezed too. So they're not going to be looking to necessarily move to a more expensive market or a more expensive house. And they might start struggling as well because their money isn't going as far, which goes into the Bitcoin and gold at the end. You've all seen the inflation. This is just the tip. So as far as the investor crisis, well, a lot of investors their sole income was for these properties. So you have 40 million people not paying rent, and that's, how many investors, 20 to 40 million investors who aren't getting paid, and some of these investors lost their job too. So what we're seeing in some markets, there's like 20 houses coming on the market because an investor is getting rid of all of them because they're like, oh, well, I'm not making any money. So with that, it's very interesting. It is definitely a buyer's market right now, especially for investors. There's a lot of competition, so people are snatching them up depending on what market. Some markets are more competitive than others, but definitely you see that there is the investors are definitely willing to negotiate. So that's what's going on now. And a lot of people ask me, do you recommend buying right now? Well, there's going to be a lot of properties being offloaded. But like I said in an earlier video, you never know. They can have 1,000 foreclosed homes on the bank's book, but the banks only release 10 at a time to not cause the downward pressure in prices. They did that before. They kept the people in their homes for 2-4 years because they kept the loan up, they kept the maintenance, right? They didn't get fined for having a dirty house or a vacant house or unkept lawn, and they didn't have so many homes flooding the market, and which caused the downward pressure in price. So on one hand, you're like, oh, I can't wait for the buyer's market, but you also understand there's a lot of manipulation. And you also need to understand this is also going on. There's going to be spiritual events that are going to rock the nation and really cause a big shift in things. So it's funny, if you're not into the spiritual aspect or your intuition isn't telling you that September things are going to blow up really big, you're not listening to spirit. So with all these interventions that can happen, plus the spiritual side, if you don't want to go into that, I'll pass through it really quick. I do have a spiritual channel called Soul Level Healing with Lisa, and we go into the deeper aspect, and I just did something in the Facebook group. But as far as like just the real estate investment without the spiritual aspect, you don't want to take into account. There are a lot of things that are at play, so it's not just a guarantee that you're just going to pick up a ton of deals. But I will say right now that there's a lot coming on the market, a lot being purchased off the market, and in this price range, we're pretty much through with it. We can roll with it because we're already at the lowest price point. So, I mean, we can only go up really. So we can continue doing it and still be okay. Now, I feel everyone should have real estate investing as part of their portfolio, but I think the 4 things everyone should have for financial abundance is real estate. You should have real estate. You should have an online business of some sort, or making money online, because that's the future. There's going to be a time when you can only be online and you don't want to be stuck going, I can't make money. Be a passive income through, like, maybe you have a membership program, maybe you have a book, maybe you sell online courses, maybe you're a coach, whatever it is, maybe you do affiliate or FBO. But you should also have Bitcoin and gold, and we're going to go into those last 2 right now. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, if it's not obvious as heck that they planned to roll this out, it should be. PayPal's doing Bitcoin. Cash App has Bitcoin. Coinbase is sort of a reputable source. JP Morgan Chase has Bitcoin. They're making Bitcoin. So all these major players who talk so much trash about Bitcoin are now rolling it out on their platforms. So when they were talking trash, they were stacking coins. Because at the end of the day, they understand that this is the future. They're going to have their own dollar. They have the USD coin, which competes with it, right? Just to keep the USD relevant. And all these different systems, when we're going cashless, it should be obvious as heck that this is planned and this rolled out is very strategic, because they're all coming out with these major platforms at the same time. So what does that mean? It means at this moment, if you can do $20 a month or $50 a month, you definitely should, because when Cash App and PayPal and this and that and Amazon all have Bitcoin right in your face, that's mass adoption. Mass adoption, when there's only 21 million coins, means huge surge in demand. Going cashless, but you can have a Bitcoin wallet that you can transfer money in and out so it can't be traced. Well, eventually everyone's going to go into that when you're getting money under the table. Like, how else are we going to pay you, right? If we, money under the table is literally how every single country in the world survives, right? I mean, you pay somebody this amount of money. You're not always giving them a W-9 form to find out their social security number. You're like, no, thank you. Here's $150 for putting my bidet in. Yes, I got a bidet. Or 2 bidets. So, you know what I mean? And so when it's coming to that, and with the amount of control they're trying to do with this cashless society, Bitcoin is going to be the preferred choice, and there's limited supply. But even if you don't like Bitcoin, which has already proven itself to be a store of value as well as valuable, when it's mass adoption, you can't even imagine. So I've been buying $50 worth of Bitcoin every single month since Bitcoin really came on the scene and exploded and went up to 19,000. And all of my money and investments have been paid off, right? I didn't buy at the height. But, the dollar cost averaging means I've captured nothing but gains and gains and gains for the last 3 years. I would suggest you all get a piece, especially with the mass adoption. Now it's not too late. Yes, Bitcoin is now $11,000 a coin, and it's a lot more stable than when it ran up before. But even if it's $20 a month. So on my Cash App, I have it so every week I get $10 worth of Bitcoin. Now I already have my other Bitcoin on my Coinbase account, but for Cash App, it's like every $10 every week. Like even if you do something little like that or $5, that matters, and you're going to be ahead of the rest when the rest wake up. So that's what's going on. It's finite, and mass adoption's here. It is here. It's in your face. And with going cashless, it just makes sense that this place where you can transfer money into your own wallet and transfer money back and forth, and it'll still be sort of traceable, especially if you get it off the major systems, but you can transfer it from wallet to wallet, and all of a sudden you have a way of transacting deals that don't have to be taxed or subject to it. And they know that we're all for that. Also gold. Let's talk about gold. Now gold and Bitcoin, for me, it is obvious we're in an economic collapse. There's books. There's 5 stages of economic collapse. There's surviving. There's so many books on economic collapse, and we are right there in the middle of it. We are right there in the middle of all of it. And you just need to pick up a book and read, and you'll see that we are. The fact that they're all just throwing money, it took years to do $2 trillion in debt, and they did like 3 or 4 trillion in 4 months. Like, come on, they know that that's the end. That's why they're all rolling out this cashless society, all rolling out Bitcoin right now. They know it's going to fail, right? Like, they know it, and they're just like, well, let's play this game to the end. Let's keep going up. Stock market, $30,000, even though, you know what I mean? Like, half the companies are filing for bankruptcy. Hertz filed for bankruptcy. People are still buying the stocks. What sense does that make? It's not going to be worth anything. Purest metal that we have in the world. It works in different dimensions. If you're not into the spiritual side, okay, it just has stored value that everyone has a soul remembrance of. They gave Jesus frankincense, myrrh, and gold, all right? That is not, there's a reason we know that. It's in our bones. It's in our resonance. So having gold is a hedge. If you read any book on economic collapse like I have, you will see that even when the dollar falls in Zimbabwe or Argentina and Greece, if you had gold, you were able to cash that value of the gold, right? So it didn't matter that your currency, because you could just trade that in. Gold is having a run up in prices, small pullbacks. If you believe that this system is steady and sound, and it's hard because I'm intuitive, higher guidance, so I know that we're going into all this needs to be wiped out, something new and rebirth to be created. I don't just deal with things on like a physical plane, meaning, oh, I'm just looking at all the scientific metrics. So sometimes when I talk to you, you got to understand, even if you don't believe in the spiritual, I understand that that is a part of it, and I walk in lockstep, so I see that as well as the physical, economic, scientific, logical, right? I'm both left and right brain, and that's integrated. So if you're not like that, it's hard for you to see it. So, all I can say is, hey, sorry if this seems far out, but to me, it's just as obvious as day, just like all of this. So just make sure you guys are prepared. My guidance is telling me that September 2020, something's going down, something big is going down. Make sure you have your food, and even make sure you have your water. I got a rain harvesting system. I bought like 4 machetes and a baseball bat because it's going to be live. I'm even breeding rabbits. Rabbits taste delicious. I literally have a male and female rabbit. I'm about to start to breed. And I'm doing a breeding program. So that's how serious it is, right? I'm going to have to provide for not only myself, but for other people, right? And, I'm a leader, so I prepare for myself and for others, not just for me, because I'm here to help people get through these hard moments. That's why I get that those intuitive guidance the last 10 years to prepare and to move to this city that is completely sheltered from all the BLM, to get this online business that continue to thrive even when everything's shut down, to have this amount of food and this amount of money and this amount of freezer space, right? Like everything they've been telling me to do, I just set up. And so I'm prepared to take everyone with you. So when I share these thoughts on Bitcoin and gold and real estate, you do not have to listen to any of it, but I just want you to know I haven't missed a beat, and I'm going to keep telling you that because, some of this comes from a higher source, some of this comes from within, which we all have that ability to. And I just want you guys to have a piece of this pie, and I don't want you to be left out. And Bitcoin and gold is a long-term thing. So $30 a month. There's this big program where you pay $30 a month and get like gold sent to you every time you get to a certain amount, right? Like in this game, because it's long term, it's okay to do $5 a month or $20 because your $5 can turn into $500, especially with the mass adoption. 21 million coins, and so many people are starting to see it right in front of their face for that mass adoption level. Like, trust and believe. Every major wealthy person in the world is buying Bitcoin. Warren Buffett bought gold mines. Like, come on, like, everyone sees this except the people on the ground. But the thing is, it's not because we don't, we have access to that same information, right? We have access to that information. It's just who takes the time to read up and look at it and get to understand it. So I just want to end with that. I'm about at my destination. I hope this is helpful. I will go back and read the comments and respond. I couldn't do it while I'm driving. So I hope this helps. And if you have any thoughts on, to use your intuitive guidance telling you September 20th, what are you hearing as far as like real estate? Let me know if you purchased any Bitcoin. Let me know if you got any gold. But I've done all of those things, and all of my investments are going up because that's a long-term trend, right? Long-term trends. This isn't short-term. There's nothing about me short-term. There's nothing about me quick. It's all about long-term, but sometimes it takes 10 years or 5 years, and that's okay. Learning to think like that is what puts you in the league of, now you're in the top. You know, having a whole Bitcoin, I have a 1.15 Bitcoin. I'm like 2% of all people own like more than one Bitcoin. Like, you can be in the 2% just by being strategic and long-term. And that is something that gets us out of the system mindset into ownership mindset and long-term thinking. So hope this is helpful, and I am out. Are you sure you want to stop?